Hello, how to complete Form 941 for 2025 Quarter 2. Form 941 is Employer Quarterly Federal Tax Return. So, it is good if you are going to complete it on the computer, print it out and mail it. You can just go to irs.gov and tap Form 941 and search it, and you will download the form, the instructions. If we scroll it down, in case you might need it, you might download Schedule B as well. And that is if you are a semi-weekly scheduled depositor, you can download it and save it as well. And if you need more form as you complete the document, you can come back and search that form. So once you save that information, you can make a copy of your Form 941 and complete it for Quarter 2. That way for Quarter 3, you will just go back to your folder, take another copy and complete it as well. So for Quarter 2, you will enter pretty much for each quarter. You are going to file for each quarter. You will enter your employer identification number, and here we can just put some X numbers there. You will enter your business name, legal name, that you put on your EIN application form when you file it for your business with IRS. So that legal name you'll enter there. Now your trade name, now your DBA, but your legal name, by legal, your business legal name, and that is the name you put on your employer, your identification number application form. It will be on the letter you will get from IRS as well. Sometimes they call it SS4 when they are replying to your application. So here for this example, we are just going to put LIBC, and why not, we can just put L.L.C at the end of it. So if you have a trade name for your business, you'll enter in this section, and for this example we can put Nina Soap. You'll enter your business street, address, number, and street address. We are just going to put those. You'll put your city, you'll put your state, and you'll put the zip code. So in this section at the right, you will choose the quarter you are filing for. So for Quarter 2, which is May, April, June, you will choose 2. So you'll file one form per quarter. Whether you file it online or you paper file it, it's just going to be one form per quarter. So you will file it for all 4 quarters, but you mail one per quarter. Don't check all those boxes on one form to send out. Even if you have 0 tax return to file, it's good to just file one for each quarter, 10 tax return for each quarter. So you'll file 4 for your business if your business started at the beginning of the year. So now let's continue. Or if your business was working, or you are an employer since the beginning of the year. So pretty much from when you are required to start filing that form, you need to start filing it for that quarter and beyond. Part 1 for Form 941. Line 1, number of employees who receive wages or other compensation for the period, for the pay period for quarter 2. So here we are going to put 2. If you didn't pay any tax, you didn't pay any wages during quarter 2, then you'll put 0 there. So there are some lines that if the answer is 0, you'll put 0, and there are some lines if the answer is 0, you leave them blank. So the lines that are required, the lines that are required for you to put 0 when the answer is 0 is line 1, line 2, and line 12. You do not leave them blank. You'll add 0 there for those lines. The rest, you leave them blank if the answer is 0. So line 2, tips, wages, tips, and under compensation that you pay the total amount for quarter 2. So we will come back to our spreadsheet here, and we will put total wages and officer compensation pay 12,000 for quarter 2. We'll go back and we'll enter 12,000. And for form 941, it is required you do not round your numbers, but you put your decimals as well. Therefore, we'll put 00 there when it's even number. Line 3, federal income tax withheld from wages, tips, and other compensation. So we'll go back to our spreadsheet to see the summary of federal income tax withheld 762. So we'll enter 762 and we'll add the 00 for the decimal. If no wages are subject to Social Security or Medicare, you'll check that box and go to line 6, leaving line 5 blank. But in this case, it does not apply. Therefore, we leave it alone and we go to line 5. 5A, taxable Social Security wages. So wages subject to Social Security wages, Social Security tax is going to be the same as the total wage compensation. So we are going to go back and just put 12,000. So in column 1, you will put the income subject to Social Security, and in column 2, you will calculate the Social Security, and it is for both employee and employer. It's good you have a document where you track how much you withheld from employees' wages and how much your business paid when it comes to Social Security and Medicare. As for the federal income tax withheld, it's just the employee that is paying it, and when it's state income tax withheld, that is the employee. You withhold those income tax from the employee wages. You, the employer, you do not contribute to our income tax withheld, just the Medicare and the Social Security. Half is paid by the employee, half is paid by the employer. So it's good you track them and throughout the year so that you can make it easy on you to file W-2 at the end of the year and to be able to file payroll tax return throughout the year or at the end of the year if that is the annual payroll tax return that is required from you. But this one is quarterly payroll tax return. You file it on a quarterly basis. So we come back here and we will do the calculation. So and then we can double check it with what we track for the employer, for the employee as well. And those are for both employee and employer, and this we have them separate here, but we can just do the calculation to make sure we use the right rates to do the calculation on our spreadsheet or document. So 12,000 times 0.124 is 1488. You'll notice that we are not adding comma or decimal point. You just add your numbers like that. So we can go back and see we have 1488 for both employee and employer social security. So we will go back. Tips taxable, we do not have tips, therefore we leave a blank. Total Medicare wages, so Medicare wages and tips, that income that is taxable, that is subject to Medicare tax, is going to be the full amount as well, 12,000, and we can put 00 there. And here I like to point out that there is a threshold for social security. When one person's income surpasses that limit, you do not withhold social security tax from the excess, from the income above that threshold, and you, the employer, you do not pay social security tax past that threshold. When it comes to Medicare, there is a threshold as well. When the income for one person surpasses that, there is additional Medicare tax that you withhold from that employee's income, but you, the employer, you do not pay additional Medicare tax to that. So, and that's why it's good to have the instructions around, read through it and highlight what is important for you. That way, if you need to reference it when you are filing the return, you will be able to go through it to see what you highlighted and just find that information. And the additional Medicare, the excess that you will be withholding additional Medicare tax is $200,000, and I believe for the social security, where you will stop withholding social security, will be 168,000 or so, if correct on that, but it will be in the instructions. So it went up this year from last year, so it is 176,100, and that's that. So and those changes almost every year, so it's good to download the latest version for the year, have that and work with. But as a small business where everybody you are paying, including yourself, if you have an L.L.C tax as an S corp or an S corp, your income is less than, your annual wages is less than 176,100 a year, you don't have to worry about those. But again, that's why it's good to track everybody's pay. That way you'll be able to know when a threshold is reached for you to know what rule will apply to that particular person's wage. And also to be able to file W-2s later, you will want to be able to know how much you collect from each one of, how much you pay each one of your staff members. So we will take 12,000 times 0.029, and that is going to give us 348, and we do not have additional Medicare tax to withhold or to report here. Therefore, we leave that 5D alone. So total social security and Medicare tax. So we'll combine line 5's column 2's. So we are going to take our calculator here 348 plus 1488 is going to give you 1836. So we'll put 1836, but we want to make sure that number is accurate. So we can go back to our document, to our summary tab. So we do have 1836 for employee and employer. Form 941, you are combining employee and employer portion of those payroll taxes on it, or payroll tax on it. Therefore, you'll have it there. It does not show how much you withheld from the employee. It does not show how much you contributed, but it's supposed to be half for those, and just the employee will pay this. So let's continue, and that is just Social Security and Medicare. So we'll leave line 5F because it does not apply to us. Line 6, total tax before adjustment, we will leave, and that is going to take line 3, line 5E, and line 5F. You'll total all those together. So we'll do the 1836 plus 762, and that is 2598. 2598. Again, we won't forget our decimal, and it's good we double check that number to make sure 2598, we have it there. Line 7, when you are completing the form, if there is a line that you do not understand whether it applies to your business or not, you can go to the instruction, and when you scroll through, they have instruction for each session. You just scroll to that number and read more about it. So current quarter adjustment for fraction of cents. So if there is a rounding issue, you can make that adjustment here. Some numbers don't round well, you can make that adjustment there. Sick pay adjustment will be on line 8. If you offer those benefits, it might be good to read about them to see if you need to complete anything there at all. So we'll go to line 10, total tax after adjustment. We'll take line 6, line 7, line 8, line 9 total together to put on line 10, and that's going to be 2598. And line 11, small business qualified payroll tax credit. If that applies to your business, there is form 8974 to complete and attach. Here we are going to leave a blank. Line 12, total tax after adjustment and non-refundable credit, because this will be a non-refundable credit, pretty much zeroing it out. Also your payroll tax, but you have the form, you can complete it to see what the credit is, the non-refundable portion of the credit. So line 12 will be to take line 10 minus line 11. If it's 0, you'll put 0, 0, 0 on line 12. In this instance though, it's going to be 2598 for us, and 0, 0 there. And again, line 12 is a line that if it's 0 for you, you add 0, 0, 0 here. You don't leave a blank. You'll complete it by adding 0. So total deposit for this quarter, including any overpayment from the previous one. So we are going to assume we deposited exactly the tax that we owe. Therefore, we are going to add on line 13 2598. But it's good you track how much you are depositing and when you are making those deposits as well. But again, if you design your own document, you'll be able to make those, improvise, as you will say, customize it, and just put those information in. As you make deposits, track them as well. So balance due line 14 will take line 12 minus line 13, the tax due minus the tax deposited. If it's 0, you leave it blank. If the tax due is more than the tax deposited, you owe money, you will put it on line 14. If the tax due is less than the tax deposited, IRS owe you money, you'll put it under overpayment, line 15. And you can choose if you want to leave it with them to apply to the next return, and next return it'll go on line 13, overpayment. Or if you want them to send it to you, you click on send a refund. You choose one of the two, not both. In this case, we don't owe them money, they don't owe us money in this example. Therefore, we leave everything here 14 and 15 blank. So now we'll go to form 941 quarter 2 part 2. So on the second sheet, you will need to put your business legal name and your business EIN as well. So part 2, line 16, if line 12 on this return is less than 2,500, that is the tax due. In our case, it is $99 more than that, because they say if it's less than 2,500, ours is 2,598, so it is $99 more than, you know, this threshold that they are talking, there are brackets that they are talking about. Or line 12 on this return on the return for the prior quarter was less than 2,500, and you didn't incur a $100,000 next day deposit obligation during the current quarter, you will check that box. But if line 12 for the prior quarter was less than 2,500, but line 12 for this return is $100,000 or more, you must provide a record of your federal tax liability. If you are a monthly scheduled depositor, complete this deposit schedule below. If you are a semi-weekly scheduled depositor, attach Schedule B. And we talked about Schedule B earlier on the IRS website. That is good to download that in case you need it. You have it. Prima Schedule B, you will hear for the monthly depositor, they will ask you how much tax was due every month. For the Schedule B, you have 31 days within every month session. So you have, for it, you have 3 quarters, 31 days cell like this, for you to add your daily tax obligation on it. So you track your things on a daily basis, that things to put it there. And those are when you pay people or you pay yourself. Those days is when you have tax liability. So you'll add those. Let's see here. So you have 3-month session, and you'll add everything in it for every day of the month that you have a tax liability. That is a Schedule B, Form 941. So in this session, we are going to assume we are a monthly depositor. And again, Whether you are a semi-weekly depositor or a monthly depositor is something you figure out for your business at the beginning of the year and you stick with it for the rest of the year, unless at some point you have $100,000 of tax liability. If you're a monthly depositor, then you'll switch to semi-weekly depositor. You pay that tax liability the next day, and then you switch to semi-weekly depositor for the rest of the year. But when you do not have that issue, and there is a rule behind it, how you choose whether you are a monthly scheduled depositor or a semi-weekly scheduled depositor. But yeah, and in this session we are going to assume we are a monthly scheduled depositor, and we are going to check that box because again our line 12 is more than 2,500, so we will fall under the middle brackets here. The middle box here. We will check it. Therefore, we are required to provide that information here. If your tax on line 12 is less than 2,500, you will just check that line 16, and then you just move to part 3. But when it's more than 2,500, you'll check the second box, and then you will move here. I will suggest too, though, if it's less than 2,500 for this quarter, but the previous quarter it was more, it might just be good for you to just stick to this session and just enter your monthly tax liabilities. But the choice is yours. You just read the instruction and follow it. So now we are going to go to our spreadsheet here, and they want the monthly detail. So we have it here on the quarterly basis, but we need to provide that monthly detail here. And I think I will need to hide some sessions, and we want April, May, June. So employee and employer, and then the federal income tax withheld. So that will be this line here is going to be 886, and those 3 months should throw to that 2598. So 866, and those are if you claim a credit, you will need to take that into consideration because they will want those total to equal your line 12. And you'll notice that your line 12 was a subtraction between line 10, your total tax, and line 11, your credit, your non-refundable credit. So you'll take that into consideration. Your credit by month, you'll take them out so that the total here match your line 12, which is your tax after adjustments and credits. So 866 00 866 00. Now we will total it for the quarter by doing 866 times 3, 2598. 2598, which again it match our line 12. Okay, so now we will go to part 3. Is if your business has closed or stopped paying wages, you'll check that box. If that's the case with you, it's good you read the instructions on it because they will show you the steps you need to take to email them information on when it closes and who is going to be in charge of the financial documents of the business up to that point and things like that. So it'll be good to read more about it, and complete it as they suggested, and just make sure if you are adding those attachments, you add your business legal name, the form, the line, the pattern, the line that what you are providing on the attachment is referring to as well. So, and then you enter the final day that you pay wages, and attach a statement to your return, and that is the attachment I'm talking about, the information you need to have on it. The instructions will guide you on that. So if you are a seasonal employer, you just hire people on a temporary basis and quality basis or so. They have instructions on that as well, and you can read through it and to know if you qualify as a seasonal employer. And then that way you follow the instruction as well, and as the instruction will specify it, when you are filing for as a seasonal employer, you are not going to file Form 941 for all the quarters of the year. But when you are filing it for a quarter, it's good to specify on top which quarter you are filing it for. And then on the form, you will check line 18 to let IRS know that you are a seasonal employer. You do not have an employee all year around. You are a seasonal employer. That way, they are not going to expect a form from you necessarily for the next quarter. If you send it to them, then that means you have employee that quarter. If you didn't send it to them, that means you didn't have employee for that quarter. But it will depend on whether you check this box or not. And again, the box on top will tell which quarter that form you send them is for. Otherwise, you just file a zero tax return every quarter that you do not have employees or you didn't pay wages. Even if you are running your own business and you didn't collect any salary, you are as good as not having employees and file a zero tax return, since you didn't pay yourself any wages or salary to withhold tax from. So we'll go to part 4. May we speak with a third designated? We are just going to choose no. If they want to contact you, they can contact you directly. But again, if you want to choose somebody, you have that session to add information. And who should sign this return? Well, if you file it yourself, you can just add your name, you add your title, and as a L.L.C tax as an S corp, there is some titles you use for S corp, president, vice president, and so forth. And if you are an L.L.C and you have employees, then it could be could be members, but just no titles that you use in your business, and use the title of whose name is there, and your phone number, of course. Why not? Okay, let's assume that's the phone number, and you just review everything to make sure it is accurate. If you are filing it for your own business, you leave the pay preparer use only section alone. If you are filing it for somebody and you are getting paid, then as a preparer, you'll add your name, your business information and address, your P10, that's your tax preparer identification number. You'll add your business EIN. If you are a sole proprietor, you'll add that there, your phone number and zip code. And when you print the document out, you will sign, your client will sign and date, you'll date as well. And you make copy for your business record. You made 2 copies for the client. You made another copy for the client to mail the original to IRS and save a copy for his or her business record. But when you are filing it for yourself, or an employee of your business is filing it for you, you do not complete this section because you are not paying the employee to file this return. You are paying the employee to work in your business. Therefore, it's like filing it yourself. Paper powder use only, you leave it blank. Because we made all our deposits and we didn't have any balance due on line 14, the voucher session, you will not complete that. But if you owe money and it follows under, it met the requirement to make a deposit, not to pay that tax due with the return, you can read about it and you complete the voucher by adding your business identification number, the amount you owe, which will be from line 14, balance due, and then your business name, legal name, address, and which quarter the payment is for. You'll card that session, you add a check, you complete the check exactly the way they instructed here. And I prefer a check to a money order because you have more space on the check to add the information requested. And you add the check, the voucher in the envelope. You staple the form 941 is 2 pages, so you staple those 2 pages together. If there is an attachment, you add the attachment to it and staple it together, and you add the form 941 in the envelope. You do not staple the check or the form 941V, the voucher, to your form 941. Those will be loose paper in the envelope. What I like to do is, in the past, is take the check and the voucher, put it in a smaller envelope, and put that small envelope in a bigger envelope, legal envelope, like 9 by 5, 12 by 9, I don't know, like, you know, a paper size type, printing paper size type envelope, and then page 1 and page 2 of form 941, staple it and put in the envelope. Okay, so let's come back here. So if you are filing the form for yourself, you will print from page 1 and page 2. When the voucher is not completed, you don't print those pages out. You just print page 1 and page 2. You review it, you sign your date, you make copy for your business record, you staple page 1 and page 2, and you put it in the envelope. So now that you have form 941 completed, you will come to your instruction to see where you should mail it to. So on the envelope, you'll put the address, and you can find the address in 2025 form 941 instructions, page 7. You will locate your state, and here we have Iowa here. So you locate your state, and then if you complete voucher, that means you are going to add payment to the form. If you didn't complete the voucher, that means you are not going to add payment to the form. You are not going to mail a payment with the form. Therefore, you will choose the colon without a payment address that corresponds to the line where your state is listed, and that is the address you'll put on the envelope, and you'll mail your return to IRS at that address via USPS using certified mail or whatever they have that can give you an online tracking. They'll give you a tracking number that you can use to track it online to know when it's deposited, when IRS receive it. And you just take the receipt of mailing, the tracking they gave you, that green slip, you staple that to your return that you are keeping for your business record to file it. That way you have information related to the tax you mail to IRS and the shipping information as well as a proof of you did mail it to them. So keep those things so that if they do not receive it on time and they want to charge you a fee, you can prove to them that no, you mail it and you mail it on time. And usually when you mail it by the due date, for this one, April, May, June is due by July 31st. If let's say you mail it by July 31st or close to it, and USPS put a stamp on it, if they receive it after that date, they will check the stamp on it. At least that's what they're supposed to do. That's what they say they will do. They will check the stamp on it. If that stamp was on it, the date on the stamp is by July 31st, including that July 31st, I believe they will accept it as sent to them on time. But I have had that experience with a return when we mail it before the due date, but close to it, and they receive it on the due date or a day after the due date, and they send us a fee, a penalty, and I called, and for some reason who I talked to, I should have been more insistent on that. They didn't really have the information, but I think she gave me the day after the due date that's when they receive it, which automatically will tell you that I didn't send it to them. I didn't mail it on the day after the due date. Does that make sense? I must have mailed it before the due date for them to receive it one day after the due date. And yet they sent me a penalty, and finally they canceled their penalty with the assertion that it never happened before. So that one-time waiver, they use it. Alternatively, the other option that I have was to mail them a proof that I sent it, I mail it on time. So, and when clearly, if they receive something after the due date and they receive it a day after the due date, automatically they should have known that from where it was mailed from, it must have been mailed before the due date for them to receive it one day after the due date. That's just a logical, critical analysis to get to that conclusion. But anyway, I didn't think about it to point that obvious reasoning to them, but I didn't really want to go to the trouble to mail them the proof. I just accept that one-time waiver option, and thus make a note to myself that I will try to make those things well ahead of time, or file them online to avoid those issues in the future. But again, you learn what is good for your business as you go along. So that is just a little story I wanted to share it with you, that even though they have those rules here, you have to know it to be able to prove your points when whoever is calling you clearly seems not to know their own role. So, and this concludes how you can file Form 941 by yourself for your business, especially for a young business, that you can do this to save money for your business. It takes time, but once you read the instruction and have your own highlight and you have your form, the process is the same quarter after quarter. The amount might be different depending on how much you are paying people working with you or for you or yourself, but the principle is the same. And by doing that for yourself, for your business, you know how to track those records so that later on, as your business is more demanding of your time and you don't have time to do it, you delegate that task to somebody outside of your business to do it for you, like a professional task preparer. You know the information to provide for them to be able to file the return accurately for you. We thank you very much for watching our videos, and we thank you very much for your time. We thank you very much for all your comments. We thank you very much all that subscribe to our channel. I'm Afiavi Liberman, Cross of Liberman Consulting L.L.C YouTube channel, and ninasoap.com, our blog. On our channel and on our blog, we share different ways you can save money, whether personal life or business, in your business, and different ways you can make money to reach your financial independence, where you do not depend on an employer to provide for your family. And filing your own tax return is one way to save money, especially if your return is simple. You keep it simple, you'll be able to file it. And again, if it is complicated because you are taking advantage of some options that your business is eligible for and is making the return complicated, then using somebody to file it might be a good idea. But just keep in mind that you'll pay more. So it's up to you to see if those credits or I don't know how to say it, but like those, and I don't want to call it loopholes, but those options that you have that you can take advantage of to save money in your business, if the saving is worth the fee you pay somebody else to file your return for you. Maybe when the business is young, you're not making a lot of money in it, may not make sense. But once your business is generating a lot of revenue, finding ways to lower your tax liability, if you are qualified for some advantages, yeah, it's good to take, to take advantage of those, to to use them. And if that means somebody else will file the return for you, you just have to see what is good for your business. And again, you can file a paper return, you can file electronic version as well. Thank you. If you are looking for a way to track your payroll, on our website ninasoap.com, we have this free payroll tax document that you can download for free and use. You can customize it to your liking, but just make sure the formula is not broken, as you are responsible for the document once you download it. And you just want to make sure it's calculating things the way you expected, and you can make adjustments to add more features where it's good. If you are a monthly depositor, it's not designed for a semi-weekly depositor to track your liability on a daily basis, but that feature could be added to it, especially if you have some your way around a spreadsheet. You'll be able to do that because it's pretty much tracking it on a daily basis or so. It can track it. It just does not have a summary version for it. Does that make sense? So thank you so much for your time. And again, try to file it on time. And this is due by July 31st. But I just try to complete it a little bit early for you to have it. And once you know how to file it once, it's just the same principle. Thank you.